very good afternoon to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for our session on design thinking. I would like to also take this opportunity to welcome Namit Parija, our expert trainer for today, who's going to take a session for us on design thinking. A warm welcome, Namit. So let me quickly introduce Namit to all the audience here today, and then we can continue with the session. Namit believes training is a catalyst to evolution and is a critical need in the fast changing world. He holds excellent communication skills and an exuberant personality, which assures dynamic learning and long term retention for the participants. He has more than 4,000 hours of experience in facilitating sessions across firms like PepsiCo, Nabler, Microfocus, Allstate Insurance, Taj Hotels, NIT Hyundai, and a few. He is a design thinking and innovation consultant with a prestigious IID, which is Institute of Industrial Development, with Ministry of MSME, Government of India. He was invited as a keynote speaker at the Virtual Design Thinking Conference hosted by CII Gujarat in Feb 2022. Apart from expertise in design thinking, Namit also delivers intense trainings on train the trainer, team building, critical thinking, communication, strategic thinking, innovation, creative leadership, virtual leadership, change management, resilience, to name a few. Once again, a warm welcome, Namit. We are all up for your session now.
Hi, everybody. A very good afternoon to all the design enthusiasts, I would say. Can I call you design enthusiasts? So, thank you for the introduction, Shiva. And I'm really honored to be here with all of you. It's always a pleasure to share my knowledge and learn from everyone. Design is something which is very special to me on this journey of helping others in achieving their goals. And in my journey of design, what I've seen is it is more of a mindset change. It is more of a thinking. It is more of the way we look at things around us rather than just using tools and techniques, which is also important. But then understanding the soft part of design thinking, or the way we think to different challenges and different problems around us, is what I think really fascinates me, and it's really important for us to understand. So once again, a very good afternoon to everybody. How is everybody doing? I'm a very I have an OCD of people not replying and not at so I think I'm very proud of this OCD. At least one OCD I can be proud of, that I want all of you to be very active while you're listening to me. I know the virtual sessions are, it's too much of things are going on, but then still I want all of you to just give me a hi on the chat box saying that what did you have for lunch, and if you did not have anything for lunch, say I'm super hungry. So let's quickly. And also, so how you're going to type is, your name is obviously evident. What do you do? What is whatever you are doing, manager, SEO, whatever, senior manager, product manager, whatever is your role, and what did you have in your lunch? So combined. So if you're a manager, say, and you had dal rice, so you say manager dal rice on the chat box. All right, let's see. Super hungry product owner. I like it. Super hungry product owner should be super hungry. Application specialist paneer. I can't read all, but then I'm just going through whatever you're saying. Business analyst, business sales manager. Good afternoon. Okay, software engineer, soya sabji. I also had that too. Same. UI designer. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Keep writing. QA engineer, analytical manager, application analyst, software analyst, business analyst, manager, lead. Okay. Serve in festival dishes. Happy Janmashtami. Yay, same to you. Beautiful. Nice. Very nice. Project manager, roti sabji. You are project manager to earn roti sabji. You can add in between to get roti sabji. Developer, dal rice, software engineer, halwa. Halwa, okay. I'm feeling so hungry again. Software engineer, Rasgulla. Let's reverse it. Rasgulla, software engineer. Senior technical analyst. Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Great developer. So we have all kinds of people. I think it's a very interesting combination. We have technical people, we have managers, we have business people, we have product people, some startup owners. I can read so many people are there. Sales, I like it. So this is like the most heterogeneous profiles we can have in an assembly of people. So, this is even wonderful. We have different people. All right. So today's session is not a specification to what your job role is, but definitely throughout the journey, keep your minds open, keep your ears open to see how design thinking can integrate into your job roles. And of course, in the end, we'll have a Q&A in which we can discuss more specifically. But I will try my best to cater to all the needs of all of you here in understanding about design thinking. So let's begin the session of design thinking. I ask a question to you. What is design? So you need to answer this on the chat box. What do you think is design? Whatever comes in your mind, just write it down in the chat box based on your job role, whatever you are doing. Think from that perspective. If you're a sales manager, what is design for you? Based on what you are thinking, what you are you're professionally doing, relate that with design. So if you're a manager, what is design for you? If you're a senior technical analyst, what is design for you? If you're a developer, what is design for you? So I want all of you to think about what is design. Process, blueprint, strategy, creative visualizations, product, technical specification, wireframe, understanding. Very nice. Flow over communication, design, patterns, visual in your art board. Very nice. Sequence of tasks, reports. Oh, it's never ending, huh? Roadmap. Hmm. Design, figuring out what. Thank you so much. This is lovely to see. I think you all had light lunch. That's why you're participating so amazingly. Generally, after a heavy lunch, we don't see such participation. Very nice. Expression of creativity, blueprints, specs, flow of work, art of marketing of a product. Very nice. Design answers at least this two things: how exactly, way of presenting skills. Beautiful, beautiful. Lovely to see the varied definitions of design. Design was limited, but you have created design into a multifold definition. Very nice. Description, tool to attract people. Great, great. Thank you so much again for participating. Now, you will see something on the screen. Now, tell me, is this a good design or a bad design? You're seeing something on the screen. Is it a good design or a bad design? Good? You see, there's nothing wrong or right. So, whatever you feel, utilitarian, good, bad, depends on personal choice. Good, bad. Unless the tissue is solving the purpose, it's a good design. The tissue box with the tissue paper, I mean, as a product, is it a good design or a bad design? Bad, good. I think sometimes, when you take out the tissue paper the first time, the beginning, then it's very interesting. Have you seen that? The moment you take out the tissue paper, and if you take the first tissue wrong, I mean, the way you take it out, it's not in the right way. All the sequence is distorted. I mean, sometimes I've seen that. Okay, great. Thank you for answering. What about this? An ATM machine where the ATM card comes after the money comes out. Good design or a bad design? Good, bad. Oh my God. I think this it depends. For people here who have forgotten their ATM card in the machine, it's a bad design. For people who have always remembered to take their ATM card after the cash, it's a good design. Very interesting. What about this? This is undoubtedly one answer. I know that. What's that? Good, 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 good. Very good. See, I feel adjectives every session. I've never seen any session where somebody says it's a bad design. I don't know why. Stapler is a staple product for all of us. Good one. Okay. Very nice. What about this? All the resource conscious people will understand what I'm trying to say. all all the people who want to make sure every inch of the resources they have is utilized. Is it a good design or a bad design? Best design. But the resource conscious people sometimes might feel it's a bad design because you have to take the toothpaste out. The last The last part of the toothpaste is more interesting. You don't want to leave it. Good design, bad design, complete utilization. For that, we have to apply a hack. Some people use hacks to, make sure that the last inch of that resource is utilized. But some people don't care. So we have different kinds of people. So yeah, it depends. Okay, cost saving. Yeah, the tag inside your trousers. When you buy a trouser, there's a tag attached. Good design or a bad design? Good, bad. Good, bad. Neutral. Sometimes I feel, why do you need it? I mean, yeah, I mean, why do you have to really see what's the size of your trouser once you're wearing it? But sometimes it's interesting also, isn't it? Because you go to the same brand and you tell the brand salesperson over there that, hey, I need the same fitting. So then it helps. Yeah, you check. I have done it many times. I've told the salesperson in the shop to check what size tag it has. I want the same size. Print is better. Backside. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Finally, a four-wheel suitcase, good or bad? Good. Amazing. This is also amazing. It might be bad sometimes for people who are traveling with kids and it might be good also. It all depends. Sometimes I've seen kids using it as a toy. And especially I've seen at the airports, they would take this as a toy and go take the luggage somewhere else, and it becomes really a nuisance for the parents. Depends on the use. And it's a good also because the two wheel was like you have to drag it up. Even adults play with it. Okay. Good and comfortable to big family. Great, great, great. Context based. Good for children. Excellent, excellent. Wonderful. A big round of applause to all the design enthusiasts here. 267 people here, and I could see the chat box exploding with responses. All right. Now, my question is what makes a good design? Now, when I was asking this question to you, you were filtering in your mind, right? You were having some parameters, right? That, oh, if this design is meeting these parameters, it's a good design. If this design is not meeting these parameters, it's a bad design. So what are those parameters for you? Attracts the user, usability, attractiveness, practical, user friendly, visualization, amazing, amazing. You clear message, fulfillment, comfortable, simple to use, durability. I can't read all, but I'm going through all. Safety, usable, but you keep typing because it's not important for me to read. When you type, you're actually learning a lot. So crystal clear, innovative ideas, excellent, excellent, less costing, reliability, longevity, good design which just works. Amazing, amazing, brilliant, intuitive, useful and understandable. Great, great. So if I have to sum it up, all whatever you have said, a good design is always useful. Yes, you create something which is whatever job role you are in, you create a design, you create a solution which is fantastic. And generally it happens, when we are working on a solution, we love it so much that we sometimes forget whether it's useful or not. So whatever we are developing, is it even useful for the user? Utility for the user. That's very, very important. Innovation. There have been many great designs in the past, but they're not existing today. So what's the use? You know, uh, remember there was a time when people used to feel privileged. Not privileged. What's the right word? The prestige used to come when you would carry a BlackBerry phone. Yeah, there was a time, right? Hey, I have a BlackBerry. You have a Nokia. I am somebody. And today you just eat blackberries. That's it, or blueberries, whatever. There is nothing called as a BlackBerry phone. Maybe there is, but it is no longer there in the market. Same with Kodak. There was, yeah, roll camera, absolutely. Amita said that what I was trying to say. Kodak happened with, you remember, I think many of you are from those times, right? We are millennials here. I am not sure whether some Gen Z are also here. Remember the times when clicking one picture we used to be very cautious. Today we can click 10 times, one pose. But we had a limited capacity in the roll. So you remember those reels, those Kodak cameras, but you don't see it and you don't see Kodak anywhere. Uh, why? Why have these designs failed with time? Because, yeah, similar with typewriters, iPod probably evolved into a better product as an iPhone generally, but But with these, the company itself is not existing with that product. So we see that evolving with the market is very, very important. You might be having a great design, a great solution in mind, but you have to constantly evolve. Check Netflix, how Netflix is evolving itself. It started with a DVD rental, you know that, right? DVD rental company, but it evolved into an OTT today. And it is constantly evolving, constantly changing. Now you have personalized dashboards on Netflix for the users. Yeah. And the way they have the UX and UI. So you have to constantly evolve your products with changing time, and that's a great design. A very important aspect of a good design is has to be user centric. What you shared, it has to be centered around the needs of the user, because you are giving that design as a solution to a user, and it has to be solving a problem. If there is a problem, then your design, your solution should be solving a problem. You say that, hey, I have got this great solution. Or if you're a developer and you say, wow, what amazing codes, what amazing interface, everything is so amazing. What a great software architecture, but it is not solving a problem. Then what's the use? So a problem solving design is a good design. And very, very, very important is simplicity. Do you know, when you buy a television or say an equipment, how many of you have observed this, that when you buy any smart gadget these days and or recently, there is something which comes with that smart gadget. Like if you buy a smart television at home, there is something which comes with that which you never use. What is that? Absolutely, it's a user manual which we hardly open up. Now, if you ever open up a user manual, you will you will sometimes feel that this is not a television but a rocket sent by NASA, or it's such a complicated object to be launched into space. I mean, I have felt sometimes when you read the manual, it feels that, my God, it's such a simple object, but sometimes the user manual makes it very complex. If you see the remote controls of the old televisions, how about the remote controls of the old televisions? So many buttons in the remote control. Do you see that? Hundreds of buttons. And if a non-tech savvy person has to change, even increase the volume, you will get a heart pain. You will get a high BP, because it's so difficult to check which is the volume, which is the navigation. But today, if you see the smart remote, they're very sleek. They have only few buttons. What is required, right? Simplicity. That's what we call lean. The lean means what? Leaning your design. If we have made a solution, can we make it as simple for the user as possible? And finally, sustainability, the very, very important thing. I mean, which correlates with viability, scalability, sustainability. All that can come into one bucket. If you've created a design, you created a fantastic app, but nobody is ready to subscribe on your service, then it's not sustainable. How will you earn? How will you generate revenues from your solution? If you are a manager in a company, and or you're working for your own company, you're providing a digital solution, but it is not scalable to the entire organization, then it is of no use. I mean, it is, but it's not a good design probably then. So a good design has to be sustainable, scalable, viable. Yes. So how's the mood as of now? It's a mood check time. Mood check means, how are you feeling as of now? It's 20 minutes past the session. How are you feeling? What's happening? Is it whatever? Awesome, insightful, you're learning, you're happy? Quickly share in the chat box. Wonderful, good, cool. Yeah, 20 minutes have passed. I realize because I'm speaking. Elegant. Elegant. I like that word. Elegant. What does elegant mean? I'm just trying to relate to that. Interesting. Nice, nice, nice. Hmm. Great. Awesome. You guys are amazing. My chat box this is a very good interface by Zoom. Otherwise, the chat box would have exploded. Because the kind of messages I'm receiving in per minute, if I calculate the frequency. All right, great. Awesome. Let's move forward and do something fun now. Okay. I want all of you to think from a designer's perspective and imagine that, we all have this app, Zomato. We all have Zomato's app, right? We all have Zomato. We all are aware of Zomato. And we all know that Zomato has an app. Now imagine that if Zomato's app had to be remodified, restructured to match the needs of a superhero. Suppose the user for Zomato is a superhero, or maybe Zomato is launching a specialized app only for the superheroes. Okay, solving superheroes' needs. But Zomato's value proposition is food only, isn't it? But it has to revolve around the needs of a superhero. So, what superhero we should take? You tell me. I'll see the maximum which we get here. Superman, Spider-Man. What else are there? Batman, Iron Man, Hulk, Shaktiman. Let's take Superman then. I think I've got maximum as Superman. So everybody's aware of Superman, right? And the powers of Superman can fly and Now imagine that Superman is using Zomato's app. It's only for Superman. Okay. I want you to just take a pause in the chat box. Take a minute, reflect that what are the needs of a Superman and how what features Zomato can add to fulfill the needs of this superhero. So take a pause right now. I don't want answers right now. Okay. Take a pause, 1 minute pause. Think, reflect. What does Superman need? And how will this Zomato app be specialized to solve the needs of a Superman? The answers are coming. You guys are so quick. Okay, come on, shoot the answers. I have to read now. I have to be really kryptonite fast delivery in air. That's cool, huh? Zomato can add kryptonite air to air delivery. Air signals. What is that? Super fast delivery. Air signals for order status. Super fast voice command. Wait, come on. Keep going. Keep going. It's interesting. Superman. No need Zomato. No need only. Instant delivery. Kryptonite resistant packaging. Satellite delivery. 24/7 available. Okay, come on. Keep going. Drone delivery. And think of more value propositions Zomato can provide to superhero Superman. Instant cooking, mind capture intuitions, very nice. He should be able to reach. What is that? Okay, he's going so fast. In need, robotic delivery. Okay, remote area delivery, protein loaded food. Yes, very nice. Avoid traffic, location privacy with proper delivery, special curated menus. Delivery weight should be high. Fly-in option. My God, energy drinks, food capsules. He may not have money. Oh, then how will he pay? Is there any way of payment? Drone delivery, mobile coverage in 50,000 feet in the air. Does he even go to 50,000 feet? DNA payment. I like that. Return policy. All right. Through superhero points. Oh, that's nice. Superhero points. Keep going, keep going. Order prior, but food gets delivered on your demanded time. Wow. Payment with service. Okay. What does superhero do? Superhero is saving people, right? Saving people from the evil. So how can Zomato help in that? Maybe what? Think. How can superhero? How can Zomato help Superman to fight the villain? Help find the villains. Okay. Spider web. What is that? Deliver arms. Okay. Chili flex. Okay. Order chili flakes and the drone delivers chili flakes in the eyes of the villain. Now we are going like extremely crazy. Helps in navigation. Pepper bottle free along with each delivery. Wow. You need power backup. Climate conditions. Deliver camera to find enemy. Wonderful. Time stone. My God. I am like my senses are enthralled by the way you are coming up with ideas. Zomato. I hope there's nobody from Zomato here. Otherwise, you will go crazy. Suspects address delivery tracking evil. Zomato will provide different type of problems. Wonderful. Let's clap for everybody. Well done. The 300 people out here in the room have come up with such crazy ideas that I think Zomato should revise their value proposition. Okay, great. Well done, everybody. Thank you so much. We can keep going on and on because it's very interesting, I know. But my question to you is, what were we doing in the last few minutes? What were we doing in the last few minutes? Imagining, okay. Thinking, okay. Ideating, okay. Brainstorming, keep saying reading, brainstorming, design thinking, mediating, meditating, ideology, logicless thinking. No, this was not logicless. There was something. Whatever we were doing the core of it. The core of it was what? What was keeping you around? What was the core of your thinking? Even if you were ideating, even if you were thinking loud, what was the core? Absolutely. The needs of the Superman. That was a center. And this is what exactly. Whatever you were doing, the central point was what the Superman really needs, isn't it? And that is what is human centered design. When we're thinking from the perspective of the human needs, what does a human need? When you are creating solutions for users, are you keeping them in the center and creating solutions? That is human centered design. So we talked about design, and now if that design has to be revolved around a human for whom you're solving problems, that becomes human centered design. And this is a great tool for the VUCA world. We all know, right? We're living in a VUCA world, means everything is volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. In this uncertainty, when we are trying to solve problems as professionals, whether we're trying to solve problems, internal problems for our companies, needs, or we're trying to solve problems for our clients, yeah, or we're trying to solve problems for ourselves, we are constantly designing solutions in this uncertain world. And what comes to the rescue is the needs, identifying the needs, keeping them as a center, makes sure makes key gives us the surety that whatever we are developing, it is evolving. We are innovating with time. We are evolving with time. Yes, and that is a brilliant example of a human-centered design is Starbucks. Now, you tell me, when you go to Starbucks, or if you have been to Starbucks or a similar, I would say Starbucks, if I tell you that you if I give you an option that there is a local chai wala or a coffee wala near your house, local chai wala, and if it's raining, very beautiful rain in your city, maybe if you're from Bangalore or Pune, or Mumbai, and it's a beautiful monsoon out there, and would you prefer going to Starbucks or your local chai wala or your local tea stall or tea person? Where would you prefer to go generally? Local, yeah, yeah. That the local chai is much more. What do you say? Awesome, isn't it? But still, we go to Starbucks. Why? Is it the taste? Is it the chai? Is it the coffee? But what is it? Absolutely, it's the ambience. When the food and beverage industry was crashing, that time the value proposition of Starbucks was selling better coffee or better coffee beans. But when they empathized, they understood their customers, which are coffee lovers, they found out that people are not looking for a better coffee. People are looking for an ambience. So evolving with the needs of the user is very, very important in this fast changing world. Same with iPod. When iPod came, it came as a solution. iPod, yes. So we talked about the iPod, and we talked about how iPod was solving a problem which came from the need of the user to carry music, to carry thousands and thousands of songs anywhere they want to. And similarly with Intuit, Intuit is a fintech company. They developed this amazing software for personal financial needs of the users. Though it was the 47th advantage, that's they call, because there were already so many competitors in the market, but nobody was focusing on the how a user is personally managing finances, and that is what they focused on. They developed some amazing softwares where you could manage your finances and on a personal level. So there are so many examples of human-centered design where we are talking about design, we're talking about solutions fitting to the needs of the users. So what are the principles of a human-centered design? When we are developing solutions, keeping the humans in the center, the user in the center, it is always people-centric. And we saw that it's always people-centric. We're always solving the right problems when we're talking about human-centered design. I'll explain this in a while, that why are we talking about solving the right problem? And also, we look everything as a holistic system. When you are developing solutions for your users, it has to be end to end. You might come up with a fantastic product, but there is a loophole in the customer service, or maybe the packaging, or maybe the delivery. Then the entire thing goes off track. So, how can we view the entire system as a holistic system? And that's what human centered design helps us to understand. Instead of just one touch point, taking into consideration the different touch points of the users across the journey and giving them holistic solutions. And finally, to be able to design small and simple interventions for our users. Now, I'll talk about these things in the upcoming slides, and you will probably understand what we are talking about. Yes, considering all perspectives from a holistic point of view. So, the first element which I wanted to discuss from the human centered design is empathy. Empathy means understanding the user's journey. Yeah. Okay. Uh, are we allowed to unmute somebody here, or is it possible? Like, if I want to unmute one person?
Yes, Namit. We can have some hands raised and I can bring them to the panel and they can interact with you. They can switch on their
Okay, so
videos as
who
well.
wants to be the volunteer here? Trust me, you won't regret. You will thank me. Okay. Okay. Okay, Rohit. So can you unmute Rohit?
Rohit, yes.
Hi, Rohit.
Hello.
Hi, Rohit.
Hi. Hi. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Yes, we can hear you. Okay. So, Rohit, I just thought that everybody, all the 286 people here, should gift you something. Would you like that? Huh.
Anyone would like
See, I told you, you won't
it?
regret.
Yeah, surely I would. Yes.
Of course. Why won't? Why would you mind? All right. So now, if all of you have to give a gift to Rohit, what gift would you give to Rohit? Quickly type in the chat section. Come on, keep writing. Teddy. Rohit, you can't say anything good or bad. You just have to accept. Keep going, keep going. Flowers, pen. Okay. Watch, shirt. Who said Burj Khalifa? What, Pritesh, you would have to give it then. It's not hypothetical. Make sure you have you're able to give it Taj Hotel. I like it. Gift him a wish. Okay, notebook. I think I should be friends with Rohit. Earphone, design thinking. Rohit, how are you liking it? Are you enjoying it?
Yes.
Huh? But all these gifts are pretty random, right? Like from different thoughts, right? What if I give all of you a chance to ask some questions to Rohit? So put some questions to Rohit to know him, in a much better way. Ask some open-ended questions, okay, so that you are able to understand Rohit in a much better way. Rohit, they're asking about your hobbies. Quickly, answer like 2 or 3 hobbies.
Uh,
You don't have hobbies? Are you there, Rohit? Okay. It says talking permitted. Okay, permitted. Yeah, so we can't hear you. Can somebody else come in place of Rohit? Can we unmute somebody else? Nitya. Okay, let's unmute Nitya.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, Rohit is back. Rohit, are you there?
Yeah. Sorry, there was a power cut at my place, so just
Okay,
switching
sorry,
it.
Nitya. We have Rohit
No
here, so
problem. No problem. No problem.
maybe you can share the gifts. Okay, Rohit, are you still
Uh,
there?
no, no, Namit. I think Rohit
Oh,
just
he's gone. So Nitya, you're lucky. Okay, come. Let's unmute.
Yes.
So now, guys, you have to ask questions to Nitya to understand her. Probably the same gifts which you have decided for Rohit, you were giving to Nitya. So now, you have to ask. Okay, so they're asking
And
about your
so
hobbies, your passion.
my passion, I do a lot of social service. So
Okay,
I like to do that always.
social service. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Okay, what
Too
is
many
your
questions.
see. What about your study? Okay, let's see. Which questions. What do you do on weekends? What do you do on weekends?
Yes, so as I told, I'm interested in social service. So I teach the
Okay.
hearing impaired and the visually challenged students during my weekends.
Okay. Okay. What's your favorite place?
Favorite place is Chennai.
Chennai.
Yeah.
And they're asking, how do you do social service? What gadgets you need? What resources you need?
Okay, so I do voice recording, which is actually useful for the visually challenged. So I do
Okay.
recordings of their sessions and I send it through WhatsApp or through pen drive to them. So it's useful for them to listen it and
Okay.
enjoy their studies.
Okay, great. And what any three things which can really bring a smile on your face?
Three things. um, yes, teaching, of course, and
Okay.
then spending time with kids,
Okay.
and then learning new things.
Okay. Thank you, Nitya. Now, guys, we have a fair, good enough idea about what Nitya's ambitions, what inspires her, what she aspires. What would you gift her? Understanding her very well. What gift you give so that she remembers your gift forever. She does not pass it on to somebody else. Tiffin box, pen drive, mobile, pen drive, good phone, mobile, camera and mic, good luck bracelet, books, voice recorder, memory card, mic. Are you enjoying it, Nitya?
Yes, yes, beautiful replies and beautiful
Toys,
editing.
AirPods, Udemy courses. Are they relevant to you? A little bit more relevant rather than random?
Yes, yes, everything is yes. Voice recorder, diary, everything I can relate to actually.
Great, great. Well done. Thank you, everybody. Nitya, now it's up to you how you get these gifts from the 300 people here. It's not in my control, so I leave it up to yours. Okay. Thank you for participating.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Those are all beautiful gifts, really.
Yes. So you see that empathy is very, very important. And whenever we are talking about developing solutions for a user, do we pause? Do we say, hey, do I know my user? Do I spend time with my user? Am I interacting with my user? Am I spending time with my user? That is very, very important for a human centered design. Arvind Eye Care is a beautiful initiative which has been initiated in the southern part of the country. And they are doing lakhs and lakhs of free eye operations for the people from the rural parts of the country. Now, they started with this mission, and when they started, there was a big gap which they did not figure out. So when they started giving free operations, eye operations and eye treatments, eye checkups for people from the rural parts of the country, and they advertised it big time. But what they found out was that very few people were turning out for the treatments. So the design team went and they spent time with the villagers, with the rural people. And what was happening? It's a free thing. Why are people not coming and availing this free thing? And understanding the users, what they found out was they empathize. And what they found out was that most of these people were daily wage people. And, when you're talking about daily wage workers, they would, if they have to come from their villages to this Arvind Eye Care Center, they would need to leave from their work at least for that one full day. And that means loss of that particular day's money. And also they would have to have one more person who would accompany them in this entire journey. Same for that person. That person also would have to leave their his or her work for that one full day. And then the traveling expenses, and then staying, or probably if they have to stay there in the Urban Eye Care Center, and then the food and stay and all those expenses. So they were not willing to give these bear these expenses even for a free treatment. So once they understood this, once they empathized this, they started a free bus service to all these people in the far off rural areas, and it became a huge success. The bus would get these patients from far off places to the Arvind Eye Care Center. They did not have to have somebody to accompany them also. They would arrange their stay, they would give them food also alongside. And that was the game changer. That's the power of empathy. Yeah. But when we are working as professionals, unless and until we do not have the power of curiosity, are we curious? Are we observing things around us? The way users are interacting with our products. Are we doing that? I'll give you a very simple example. Uh, Heinz ketchup. Are you aware of the Heinz ketchup bottle? What is so special about Heinz ketchup bottle? What is so different in that product? Easy to use, but what is the difference? It's inverted. It's upside down. Yeah, it was a result of observation because they saw the users. Like for a normal bottle, you would have to when the ketchup is left inside the bottle, and then you have to invert the bottle and pat it from the back. And then they observed that, oh, users are having a pain point here. Why not we create an inverted bottle? And they created an inverted ketchup bottle. Uh, Another example, very interesting about the power of curiosity and power of observing your users. It comes from Oral-B. How many of you have kids here and have seen a kid's toothbrush, which is a grip, fatty grip, squishy grip? How many of you here you saw, or maybe you are buying it for your kids? Yes, yeah. This came as a result of observation and spending time with the users. So long back, when Oral-B had, they wanted their design team to visit how users are using their toothbrush. So they would go and they would see that they would observe and they would find parents complaining that their kids are finding it painful to brush their teeth. Why? Because the hands of kids, they're very small. The grip is not. They don't have a lot of dexterity in their hands, so they're not able to hold the brush properly. And if a normal brush, if you see, it has a thin grip. If you hold it, they would hit their gums and the gums would bleed. So understanding this, they thought that let's create the grip of the toothbrush more fatty and squishy. And not just Oral-B, every other brand today, if you see, they follow the same principle. That's the power of observation or being curious or asking questions or spending time with your users. And that is the real power of curiosity. And that enhances the skill of empathy. Empathy is not an overnight skill. We have to practice it. What happens the moment you encounter a problem? Do you jump into the solution or do you pause? We need to have a check. Do we pause and say, hey, let me spend time with my users? Of course, for some problems, the solution is obvious. But for complex structures, complex problems, exactly, when you need to find out the root cause, when you need to know the insights, the hidden insights, why the user is experiencing something, then we need to have the skill of empathy. Moving on to the next very, very important skill set, which you need for human-centered design, is defining your problems. Are we solving the right problems, or are we investing so much of our resources in the wrong problems? Very, very important. And we have seen this happening, isn't it? How many of you have experienced this, that many times we have been investing a lot of time in solving the wrong problems? How many of you have experienced this? Come on, give me a yes in the chat section. Everyone. All right. Great, great, great. Okay. I'll share a very beautiful story here. This story. It's not a story actually. It's a case from the Harvard Business School, and this is about a milkshake store. This case has been widely discussed in the Harvard Business School, and it has led to development of a theory which is called jobs to be done. So, this is about a milkshake parlor. Imagine that there is a milkshake parlor, and it's a very famous milkshake parlor in New York City. And there is a huge queue outside this milkshake. I'll take all your questions. I'll take all your questions. Yeah, in the end. So I would request you to park your questions, and then we'll take all the questions. Now, let's take this milkshake parlor. It's a huge queue outside, and Generally, you would see that the queue is in the morning time, in the rush hours when people are going to office. Now, this parlor has decent sales, but the objective of this milkshake parlor is to triple, or to increase the sale, triple the sales in the next 1 month. So what do you suggest the parlor would do? The milkshake parlor, the owner would do? Come on. What do you suggest the milkshake parlor should do? Marketing. Okay. Takeaway cups, give offers, home delivery, increase the menu sizing. All right, wonderful. Home delivery, faster response. All right. What else? Come on. Coupons. Quality. Okay. Reduce the price, better taste. Order online. Okay. More counters. Great. Go online. Give happy hours. Interesting. Know the customer. Thank you so much for participating. Target the young generation, token system. Excellent. Really appreciate your participation. Excellent. But you know what worked? He tried most of the things and the revenues increased. But what worked magically, you know what? He increased the consistency of the milkshake. That's it. The milkshakes became more thicker in consistency. How can this lead to increase in revenues? Very interesting. Yeah. What he observed by empathizing, by understanding their customers was that generally most of these users would take this milkshake, this what they were having, and would take them along when they're traveling inside the public transport. And most of them were solo travelers. And psychologically, what they thought, what they saw was that when you're traveling in a public transport solo, you need something to munch on, or constantly, because you're alone, a long journey, and you need something to drink. So it kind of gives you a psychological emotion that you're busy, you're occupied, the journey, you're occupied, and you're busy, you're involved in something, you're engaged. So increasing the consistency of the milkshakes ensured that the milkshake would not finish early, and this would go on till the entire journey. And that really had a big impact on the sales. Something so interesting. You see that? So this is what is called solving the right problems, understanding the real insight, why something is happening. The why is very, very important, folks. Generally, we are focused on the what, the how, the where, the when. The why is the essence. Why is the user looking for this solution? Why is it important for the user? That why is only possible if you spend time and understand the real problems of our users. And that's what I shared about the milkshake story. This is a very interesting customer journey map, customer experience map by Starbucks. All this analysis they've done just to understand the why behind what's happening, to understand the experience of the customer through the various touch points, so as to identify the right problems. Maybe we are solving the wrong problems, but if we undergo the journey of the user at various touch points, we are able to understand the real problems our users are facing, which can help us define better solutions for them later on. So this is very important. Not just coming up with a great solution, but defining the right problem is a very, very important element of human centered design. Can you think of some brands or some companies which have done this? They have identified the real pain point of the user and given a solution. Come on. Apple, okay? Uber. This could be in the form of product, this could be in the form of customer experience, UX, UI, in any form. Microsoft, Google, Dunzo, Wikipedia, Oyo, Cred, Ola, UPI. Very nice. Zomato. I'll brief. Excellent. Lenskart, Amazon, Zerodha. Excellent. Zepto, Boat. And we now are able to relate that when they're solving a problem, they are first defining the problem. Then they're solving the problem. They're not jumping to solve the problem. And that's where you're able to create great solutions. This is a very simple map. The horizontal axis, if you see, is the touch points of the user inside Starbucks. You see, the horizontal axis is the anticipation is in the parking area, then entering inside the Starbucks. Then what is happening inside Starbucks? You see actions of the user. He's standing in the line, then he's ordering menu, then paying, then he's sitting on the table, drinking coffee, working, and then exiting. And at vertical is basically at each touch point, what is the experience? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it neutral? We're trying to understand what's happening at the various touch points. It's one of the tools in design thinking. There are many, many tools. One of the tools to understand what's really happening, you know, to see which are the opportunities for us as designers to solve, or as problem solvers to help our customers grow. And finally, the third skill. And before I go with the skill, how's the mood? How's the mood? What's happening? Are you enjoying the session? Is it good, insightful? Are you learning? How's the mood? Come on. How's the mood? Mood is good. Amazing. Enjoying. Expecting the climax. How do you know there is a climax? Maybe there is no climax. All right. Informative. Curious about the next move. Nice. Need a coffee? Go on, have a coffee. Curious. How's the Josh? Awesome. Great. So this is what is a third skill, which is agile, being agile. And agile is not just the agile methodology which we use while developing a software. Being agile means, are we flexible? You can only develop quick solutions if you're able to test your solutions quickly. If you're giving 4 months in developing your solution and then you interact with your user, you've already lost those 4 months in understanding, getting a feedback from your user. And which is in business, this is very famously called as the IKEA effect. We all know the Swedish the furniture retail chain, IKEA. And the IKEA effect is that you, as a developer of a product or of a solution, when we spend too much of time developing a solution, we are very much averse to taking feedbacks from our users later on. Why it's called IKEA? Because in IKEA, you make the product on your own, right? And it's psychologically, when you make something on your own, you are very much attached with that solution. So you have that connection. And similarly, when we are developing solutions, when we give too much of time developing our solutions and we do not ask or we do not test our solutions early, then later on, what happens is it becomes very difficult to accept failure. But when we test our solutions quickly, we are very much open to failure. And that is agility. Without agility, we cannot, we cannot have human-centered design flourishing. Isn't it? A very interesting example is Airbnb. We all know where Airbnb is today. But do you know how Airbnb started and how they tested their model before starting it? Anybody knows here what they did? Come on. A wild guess. What they did to test their idea, they verified the photos. That was later on. What happened initially? Figure out what a traveler wants. Okay. Send their employees to take experience. Employees, they didn't even have employees when they started this. Invited friends and family to use the service. Absolutely. Their first move was a very basic website. This is the website they started with in 2007, which was called Air Bed and Breakfast. Very basic website. And they started this in California and the Silicon Valley only. And that time in Silicon Valley, lots and lots of conferences used to happen. So many people would come from across the country and across the continents, and they all the hotels were very expensive. So their proposition was that what if we give our own home for service? Like they had some space in their living area, so they gave mattresses, air mattresses, and free Wi-Fi, free breakfast, and they wanted to test this, that whether travelers will come and stay at our place and pay to us. So this is what their first test. So which they did with airbed as airbed and breakfast. No resources required, just a basic landing page, people coming in, paying, validating their hypothesis, validating their idea. Yes. And then once this got validated, the second problem was that whether people are willing to host people at their homes, because now they have to scale up, right? So for that, they expanded a little more and they created the second version where they asked people in certain important cities, not everywhere, certain important cities across the world, to put their to list their homes and quote a price. And then this also got validated. So testing your ideas becomes extremely very, very, very important when we are talking about human-centered design. Are we ready to test ideas? I remember a very interesting example. I was taking this session with some agricultural startups recently, and there we were talking about this agility, and this came up that there was this company which had this idea that what if we capture images? Okay, we capture images of the fields, far off fields where farmers are working. So we have these very high tech drones which are capturing images, very high tech drones which are capturing images of what's happening in the field, and all these images would be converted into some data analysis and data translation and everything to make sense of that data, to understand and so that the farmer could know what's happening at the field. So this entire was a value proposition. Now to test this, a normal person, a normal user would go for a long way. You would buy a drone, you would build a highly expensive drone, then you would have a highly expensive software, you would build a software, you would spend months and months coding a software which can translate this data based on the needs of the farmer, and you would do all that. But if you go with a human-centered design way of testing ideas, you would simply go take pictures from your camera of the field and translate manually those pictures into the needs of the farmer and check if this is helpful for the farmer or not. Our ultimate need is to test. So this is what we're talking about agility. Are we ready to test our solutions in limited amount of resources without any risk involved and learn from our failures? Failures are bound to happen in design thinking. And that is what we move forward. We move ahead with our ideas. So these are the three skills. What are the three skills I taught? I mean, I didn't literally teach you, but what are the three skills we discussed today about human-centered design? Come on. The chat box is feeling lonely suddenly. Oh, yes, back again. Empathy, defining our problems, right problems, and agility. Absolutely. Absolutely. ADA, EDA, not ADA, EDA. So, all this, whatever we're talking about, the human-centered design can make sense into design thinking. And that is what is design thinking. The source, the core of, not the source, the soul of design thinking is what we have been discussing till now. If we give structure, whatever we've discussed in the last 1 hour, if we give structure to it, that structure, that framework is what is called as design thinking. For what is design thinking? Well, a very simple framework which ensures that whatever you are creating, is it desirable for your users? Is it feasible with the amount of resources what you have? And is it viable? Are you able to earn profits, or are you able to scale your process in your organization? Is it viable? These are the three things which are the pillars of design thinking, and the central point is That sweet spot is what is design thinking, the framework. And what framework we apply. And I would share, there are many models. I would share the simplest and the most effective model I have found is the design thinking model by Stanford University. That's called the D School. The D School of Design Thinking is the 5-stage step process. And this is the core of any other model. Any other model you take, the core is this only. Just the packaging is different. So, what is the core? The first step is when we are empathizing with our users, empathy, understanding your users, spending time with your users. Followed by that is defining the right problems. You are able to define the right problems once you empathize with your users. And once you define the right problems, you go into collaborative ideation. You think out of the box. You diverge with crazy innovative thinking, with adding creativity to our thinking out of the box. And from there, we converge to one idea and we develop a prototype. Why? What is a prototype? A scaled down version of our proposed solution, which we can test. Finally, the fifth step, which we can test with our users and get a feedback. Now, this looks like a sequence, but this can go on and off. If at the ideation stage you feel that you still again need to go back, you go back to the empathy and again spend time with the users. If in the prototype stage you feel that, oh, I need to come up with some better ideas, you again go back to the ideation stage and develop more ideas. So this can keep going on and on and on. But this basic framework is what is called as design thinking. And this is the core of any model which we take. The soul of any model is you discover, explore about your user, you diverge with thoughts, you create a solution and test it with the user. A very interesting report by McKinsey says that design thinking companies have a higher revenue and shareholder returns, 56% higher returns than those companies which do not use design thinking. That's a big number. And that's why design thinking today is used across many organizations: Uber Eats, Airbnb, Stanford Healthcare, Pepsi, Bank of America. There are so many examples of design thinking, how they have transformed processes. I want to share a very beautiful example which has really inspired me to understand and learn about the subject of design thinking. This is about the story of Embrace Incubator. So, Incubator, we know Incubator is a machine which is required to keep the newborn babies safe, and in certain conditions which keep them healthy. Yeah. Long back, there was a group of young entrepreneurs in Palo Alto, California, who were working on a design thinking project. And they wanted to come up with a solution to solve a problem with design thinking. And they observed that there were a lot of newborn babies, premature babies, newborn babies being born in a lot of developing countries. And most of these newborn babies were dying very quickly. I mean, the mortality rate was pretty high. And they wanted to solve this problem. So they thought that, sitting at Palo Alto, they thought that incubator is a very expensive medical device. So all these babies are dying because most of the hospitals in developing countries cannot afford these incubators. So they thought this as assumption. And based on that, the problem which they identified they have to solve is that how can we design low cost incubators for these developing countries? Of course, if you're able to design low cost incubators, great innovation. People would be able to hospitals would be able to buy these incubators and save the babies. But then their mentor said that, guys, you haven't spent time with your users. You're sitting in a boardroom. That does not help. Go out, spend time with your users, talk to them, observe them. So this team, they flew all the way to Nepal, where this problem was very much prevalent. And they spent time with a lot of doctors, nurses, villagers, where this problem was happening. And what they found out was very, very interesting, was that most of these problems most of these babies were getting born in far off villages, which were dying, were dying in far off villages. And hospitals had incubators. They were vacant, they were empty. Nobody was using these incubators. Now just imagine such an exploration. They would have made low cost incubators. Would it be solving the problem? Not at all. The problem is something else. It's not about incubators. It's about the distance. It's about when the baby is the babies are traveling. I mean, they are being transported from the villages to these hospitals. That is when they die, and that is when we need something to save them in that journey. And they changed their hypothesis or their problem statement, and they said that we need a baby warming device in that journey. So they ideated and they came up with a prototype which looked like a sleeping bag. This looked like a sleeping bag in which you can put the baby. And this bag had a paraffin sheet. Paraffin is a wax material. So the sheet is made up of paraffin, which is inside this bag. You take that sheet out and put it inside a boiling water. You take that out from the boiling water and put it back inside this bag. Now it will keep the bag warm for 4 to 6 hours. Such a great innovation, such a great use of empathy, because people in rural areas do not have electricity. So in their first version, you had to charge this bag to warm it up, but they realized that we don't have electricity, so what to do? So they modified it into a version where you can just warm it up with boiling water. And because of this, we were able to save millions and millions of lives for these babies. And this is what has motivated me to, when I heard about this story, I got motivated to understand that there's so much of potential in human-centered design and design thinking. But are we ready to listen to our users? Are we ready to remove our biases? Are we ready to change the way our organization culture is being integrated? Are we ready to have patience solving problems and spending time with the users? Are we ready to collaborate, breaking down our silos and come together with different varied experiences to solve problems? It's all about if we are ready. And if we are ready, it's a huge difference. We can not just contribute to our organization, but to the world as such. Thank you so much for being such a lovely audience as of now. I hope you enjoyed this till this point. And now I'm opening the floor for some question and a question which I can take.
Thank you, Namit, for the wonderful presentation. A lot of thought-provoking examples there in terms of design thinking, and I hope audience had a lovely time. With the questions being opened, I would also like to share a feedback for the audience to, rate the session, and so that we understand what they want. Sort of a design thinking exercise this itself for us. In order to curate more sessions like this going forward. So request all the audience to take a few minutes and put in your valuable feedback on the poll that you see on your screens. And you can also raise your hands if you have a question that you want to ask to Namit. I can bring you to the panel. You can interact with Namit directly, or you can put your questions in the chat box also so that Namit can answer them.
Let me know when I can take the questions.
Yeah, you can actually, Namit. You can actually take the
All right.
questions. The feedback can go on in the background.
What else? What are the next stages for this design thinking learning? See, the next stages is, of course, you have to practice. You have to practice these different steps of design thinking collaboratively, taking a project, having probably a facilitation, learning these different steps. and exploring a little more. But at least to begin with, start with empathy. Very simple empathy. Are you enhancing your empathy, your EQ around you? And are you pausing to listen to your users, listen to your customers, understanding their needs? Are you looking to find out the right problems? Are you giving your time to check whether you're solving the right problems or not? And are you testing solutions in small way and finding out, not just thinking? So these are small ways you can start in whatever job role you are at. It is common sense. Yeah, of course. It is part of our common sense, and putting that common sense into framework is what is design thinking. And we all have been doing this, but the degree to which we are empathetic, the degree to which we are exploring problems, the degree to which we are collaborating, ideating, testing, that varies. So that is where we need to come together collaboratively and work towards the process of design thinking. Is that you can share some Indian example of unique idea selling, like the incubator example? What is that? Unique idea selling. I didn't get your question.
Namit, I think Neeta is asking for an example in an Indian context.
Mhm.
For the example that we've just
Yes.
discussed, which is the incubator, right? Embrace incubator. So, do
Uh-huh.
we have any examples in the Indian context of people doing something like that?
Yeah. We have many examples in the Indian context when we're talking about designing solutions. Like the one I shared with the Arvind Eye Care Center, it is design thinking only, and it is pretty much in India where they are curating different services for their customers. Customers means these patients who are having eye operations and getting eye treatments, specially curated for them. Now, even if you see inside our country, even if you see the Uber, if the Uber experience in India and the Uber experience in US would be different, because understanding the needs of the Indian users, specifically Uber Eats. Now, Uber Eats, what they do is they spend time. Their design team comes and they spend time with users in specific cities to identify what's happening. And if you see Uber Eats here and Uber Eats in New York, it will be totally different. The kind of solutions Uber Eats has for you in Delhi or Bombay or Mumbai or Bangalore or wherever, it is different from the solutions they're providing across. So uh, all these global companies which are operating, you would see them, if they're using design thinking, their experience in a certain country would be different from the experience in some other country, because users' needs are are pretty much different. Yeah.
I think, Namit, one other question that is there in the chat box is how to differentiate between empathy for customer and consumer. I think this is a repeated question.
What's
You
that?
can answer.
What is the difference?
What is how to differentiate between empathy for customer and empathy for consumer?
See, when you talk about a customer and a consumer, these are two different things. Your job is to make your consumer a customer, and that is what we are doing. That's what we want, and you can only do that by providing holistic solutions. If you're selling a product on Amazon and your consumer gets it, it's a consumer. But then when you start connecting with that consumer, building a connection and seeing that what help he needs or she needs to build and to bridge those gaps, then you're converting a customer into a consumer into a customer. So that is where design thinking really, really helps. Take an example. For example, you have to you deliver a product. Now, how do you deliver a product? That is also very important. How is the packaging? What happens when your consumer opens up the product? So many young Indian startups I see, you order something, they'll send a nice personal note alongside some interesting information, some discount coupons. It all depends on the different how you want your customer to feel about yourself, about your brand. And even after that, post customer service, So many companies are coming up with these 24/7 chatbots. Even delivery services like DHL, it's a delivery packaging service, courier service. They've also come up with this 24/7 chatbot where you can track your package, you track your parcel. So it all depends on what all touch points you want to cater to make your consumer into a customer. I hope this answers your
Hi,
question.
Namit, Rohit here.
Yeah.
Slightly. But I was referring for the example of the toothbrush for the kids. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So in that particular scenario, or in all such scenarios, the customer would be the one who is buying, obviously the parents, and the consumer would be the kids who are using it. Correct?
Okay. Okay.
Kids generally like this concern which they have solved for, like it can be some to avoid some accidents for the kids, that will be concern of the parents.
Okay.
And there will be, like, if we empathize with the consumer, especially for the kids, they have come up with some teddy shapes or some different cartoon shape toothbrushes
Right.
with like um,
Mm.
with much better grip, or thicker stance for the toothbrushes.
Right. Right.
So, so in such cases, where our empathy should lie, it should lie with a customer, which are the
Oh, okay.
parents, or the consumer.
Interesting question. Interesting question. Yeah. See, when you are observing, you have to take both the parties into account, customer and consumer, both in this particular scenario. You have to interview both to understand, because ultimately the customer is paying you in this scenario, right? If the parent feels that the product is not safe for my child, but it's good for my child, my child is attracted to the product, but it's not safe, then you are not taking their, like you see today you have those wooden toys. Now a child does not need a wooden toy. How does it matter for a child is a wooden toy or a plastic toy? But they have taken into account the customer also, because customer wants that whatever toy, whatever material it is, it should be safe. So you have to take into consideration both the angles and then put those features and specifications into your product, because ultimately your customer is paying you, and in this case, and the consumer, but also it has to be helpful for the consumer because it has to solve a problem. Yeah.
No, in general, this type of scenarios where we
Mhm.
have different customer consumer, like this is uh, a condition where we have a customer is a parent. Obviously, they will look
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
things for their kids. But there can be certain different scenarios also where the customers are different and the consumer will be different. If we
Okay.
can take up an example,
So both are
medical
stakeholders.
equipment for
Okay.
hospitals. Yeah,
Okay.
medical equipments
Correct.
for the hospitals. In
Correct.
generally, it will be used by doctors and purchased by some purchase department or some operation heads of the
Correct.
hospital. Uh,
So
So
what is the operation depart what is the purchase department look for in your product? Quality,
no,
cost effectiveness.
they
They want to save money.
they will go for save money,
Yes. So
cost efficient.
that's also important, but you have to take that into consideration while you are building it. And what does the doctor want? Is it solving doctor's problem or not? Isn't it? So you can't just take care of the purchase department and give something. The doctor won't need it. And you can't just also make something where the doctor is making feeling, wow, what a great medical instrument. But the purchase department says, oh, it's so expensive. So that is why when we're working in design thinking, we work in multiple teams or we work with multiple stakeholders. We interview multiple stakeholders. We take into account all their opinions, and then we find out, okay, what features we should add in our solution so that all these stakeholders, their objectives are met. Are you getting me? What I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Rohit. It's a good question.
Thank you, Namit.
Okay.
It was a great session.
Thank you. In case of NGO and solution where profit is not a priority, how design thinking come into help in regard to sustainability? Yeah, so their sustainability is scalability, right? if today you are having, so you have developed a solution for 12 kids in a small orphan, and you have developed a beautiful solution for them, are you able to scale it up to 30 orphans across the country, or orphanages across the country, and help those kids? An example. And also, an NGO also works on sustainability, right? You can't just keep building expensive solutions, and then it's not sustainable. So in those cases, sustainability comes from a different perspective. When a client or any high management person says, I don't like this design, what do we do? You have to smile, and you have to understand the why. The why. So it's always a great idea to accept and explore a little more. What is it that they don't like? Ask open-ended questions. Don't ask close-ended questions. Do you like this? Do you like this feature? Don't you like this feature? They should not answer in yes or no. They should answer in stories. You should be able to extract information from your client. So what is that you don't like in it, if you want to know? And they will say something. Start digging down deeper, ask follow-up questions. So I heard that you said you do not like this particular feature in this design. Could you explain a little more about what is that in this feature which you specifically do not like, or why is it important? Why this feature is so important for you? Understanding this can help you in getting to know your user a little more. What are the three parameters? Yeah, desirability, feasibility, and viability. Desirable, feasible, viable. Yeah.
Now, there's another question in the Q&A section.
Yeah.
It says, how can we test a design? Is there a pseudo way, or the only way is to do field testing?
Sorry,
How do we test a design?
It depends what product. If it's an application you want to test, then you might go for wireframing and mock-up apps, and then A/B testing is there. All those methods are there, right? You have two products, see which one has. If you have two ideas, you want to test which one has more traction. You can do that. If you can even start with basic storyboards. If you have an idea, you have great idea in the mind, sketch it out and get a quick feedback from some stakeholders for whom it's relevant. Uh, and McDonald's tested their idea. The kitchen process of McDonald's, they practiced the entire kitchen operations in a basketball court for 6 hours, 8 hours. And then they optimized, and they said, now this is a great operation. They did role plays. They acted it out in a basketball court that this is how a burger would be made. So like that, you can have, it depends what stage are we talking about. The starting point is a storyboard, and the last point is a highly furnished point is a well furnished setup of your product, which is also called the minimum viable product, which is like the basic form of your product, which has all those features which should be tested with the user. So you create that and then you test it out, like what Airbnb did. They tested the minimum viable product. So it depends what is the degree of what part of design thinking we are at.
Namit, probably last question for the day. Gaurav is asking, sometimes users don't know what they need. We need to give awareness to them. So how does this work with design thinking?
Yeah, see, this is a famous saying that users don't know what they need, and this is where you need to find out. you can't you will not hear them saying it. You have to find it out by their behaviors, by observing them, by seeing how they are behaving, what is happening. There are many techniques. Living a day in the life of a user, going, you become your user, and see how it is to be a user. Say, for example, if you have to enhance the experience at the airport for the passengers, now you become a passenger, you travel through the airport to see what are the touch points, what's happening. You become your user and experience. There's so many techniques. So then you interview your users, you can have focus group discussions through all this data which you collect. Once you have this data, then in that data, you'll find your answers. It's a little messy, but again, it's all hypothesis. So these initial stages are a little messy in design thinking.
Understood. Thank you so much, Sumit, for answering all the questions very patiently. And I think with this, we come to the end of the session. I again want to thank Namit for a wonderful session that is full of examples and case studies. Now I understand, why your participants do retain a lot of information when they attend your sessions. And I would also like to thank all the audience who've come here. I think there's something for you to take away from this session. And we look forward to having you in our next session on next Friday. Thank you.
Thank you,
And
Shiv.
for everybody who's asking for a recording of the session, you will receive an email shortly with the link to the recording of the session. You can go through it as many times as you can. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you for being an amazing audience. All the best. Enjoy and keep designing.